Imagine a teenage girl, dressed in armor, leading an army to victory against all odds. This is Joan of Arc, one of the most extraordinary figures in history. A peasant girl who became a warrior saint, Joan's story is one of courage, faith, and tragedy. Today, we are diving into the life of Joan of Arc, what drove her, what she achieved, and how her legacy still inspires us today. Let's get started. Joan of Arc was born in 1412 in the small village of Domremy in northeastern France. At the time, France was in the middle of the 100 Years' War, a brutal conflict with England that had dragged on for decades. The French were losing badly, and the English had even crowned their own king, Henry VI, as the ruler of France. But Joan's life changed forever when she was just 13 years old. She began hearing voices she believed were sent by God. These voices, which she identified as saints like Michael, Catherine, and Margaret, told her she had a divine mission to drive the English out of France and help the Dauphin, Charles VII, claim his rightful throne. At 16, Joan left her village and travelled to the Dauphin's court. Despite her humble origins, she convinced Charles to give her an army. How? By revealing a secret that only he and God could know, a sign that convinced him she was the real deal. Joan's first major victory came at the Siege of Orleans in 1429. The city had been under English control for months, and its fall would have been a disaster for France. But Joan, dressed in white armor and carrying a banner with the words "Jesus, Mary," inspired the French troops to fight like never before. In just 9 days, Joan led the French to a stunning victory, lifting the siege and turning the tide of the war. She became known as the Maid of Orleans, a symbol of hope and divine intervention. After Orleans, Joan led Charles to Reims, where he was crowned King of France in a ceremony that legitimized his rule. It was a moment of triumph, but Joan's mission wasn't over. She continued to fight, believing that God would lead her to victory. But then, things took a dark turn. In 1430, Joan was captured by the Burgundians, allies of the English. They sold her to the English, who put her on trial for heresy. The trial was a sham, designed to discredit her and undermine Charles VII's legitimacy. Joan's trial was a nightmare. She was interrogated for months, accused of heresy, witchcraft, and wearing men's clothing. But Joan refused to back down. She defended herself with remarkable intelligence and courage, often outwitting her accusers. Despite her bravery, Joan was found guilty and sentenced to death. On May 30th, 1431, she was burned at the stake in Rouen. She was just 19 years old. But Joan's story didn't end there. Years later, the church reopened her case and declared her innocent. In 1920, she was canonized as a saint. Today, she is one of the most revered figures in French history, a symbol of faith, courage, and national pride. Joan of Arc's story is one of the most incredible in history. A peasant girl who became a warrior, a martyr, and a saint. Her legacy lives on, not just in France, but around the world. What do you think? Was Joan truly guided by divine voices, or was she a brilliant strategist who used her faith to inspire others? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more fascinating stories from history. See you next time.